I just want to start by saying this was a very misguided idea. I regret it immensely and feel terrible for bringing my friends into it. You don't need to tell me in the comments how stupid I was because I am very much aware. In 2010, when I was 15, I became interested in urban exploration photography. I absolutely love seeing beautiful, eerie photos of abandoned shopping centers and hearing all about the awesome vintage stuff people would find at these places. I was originally thinking of going to famous local urban exploration sites, like a very well-known abandoned mental asylum called Larundel Mental Asylum. There are many creepy and weird pictures of this place online, and many stories of paranormal things happening there. About a week before my best friend, who I'll call A, her boyfriend, who I'll call G, and I were going to go, I got talking to an acquaintance, who I'll call S, at a party, who warned me off. She told me about how she and her cousins went there a while back. They were all very into spiritual and supernatural stuff, I believe. Nobody else was there that night except them, and apparently they got horrible vibes as soon as they walked in. While they were exploring upstairs, one of her cousins felt an overwhelming force pulling him towards a room, and just before he opened the door, he fell through the floor and slashed one of his wrists so badly he nearly bled out. She said she would never go back or to anywhere like that again, but if I ever found a cool house to let her know. So I was like, screw that, not going. I mostly gave up on the idea and just didn't think about it for ages until I found the house. So I was going for a bike ride one day, a few months after this, and decided to take a different route to my normal one, and ended up running through this weird little pathway at the bottom of a dead-end street, and kept riding until I ended up at this park. I had never been there before, and was very disorientated at this point. Like I was basically lost in my own suburb, more or less. Anyway, I ride through this park to try and find a water fountain, and end up going down this long path, which led to nothing except this really high stone wall covered in dead vines. The stonework on the wall was a really unique design, and it just seemed really odd and out of place. So I felt this urge to see over it. I stood on my bike, and even then was only just able to look over this wall, and I'm not short. What I saw was a very, very weird mansion. The garden was absolutely overgrown, a sea of green broken only by Greek marble statues poking out, and the house was yellow, and the bottom floor windows were all broken. But I could see that black and white checker flooring and more statues inside. The windows on the top floor were boarded up, except for one that had curtains. There was also a fountain in the garden that was all cracked too. It was the most odd and out of place house I've ever seen, and my instant urge was to photograph it, but I didn't have a camera or my phone. So I rode back through the park and picked a house number to remember, and managed to make my way home. Even though I got really, really lost, I instantly messaged A, G, and S, the girl I met at that party. I told them I found this incredible abandoned house, and we need to check that out. My best friend immediately got super excited, because the plan was we were going to start a blog, and she would write about places we explored. I would take the photos, and her boyfriend was excited because he was super into horror movies and wanted to film stuff. S was a bit reluctant. She said the statue sounded kind of creepy, but eventually decided she would come. So we made a plan to go on Saturday night, because G wants to film at night, and we were all scared of being seen by people in the park, so it seems logical. We met at A's house, and G would borrow his dad's trailer to bring a ladder so we could get over the wall. So Saturday night rolls around. At this point, I was nervous because it hit me we were breaking in and trespassing if we got caught. My parents would flip and never let me go out again, ever. But I ended up at A's, S arrived, and G arrived. We ordered a pizza and hung out for about an hour. Because we decided to leave the house at midnight. It was weird because it should have been awkward. A and S were only sort of friends. S and I barely knew each other, and S and G had never met. Plus G was a 17-year-old dude hanging out with 3 15-year-old girls, and yet we were all just vibing so much, and so mutually excited and nervous that it was really cool. I remember distinctly thinking how the 4 of us were going to be best friends and do this all the time, and how cool the blog would be, and already planning where to go next. So we left at 12 and made it smoothly to the house number I'd remembered, and G parked the trailer. And this is where we encountered the first problem, because I led us down the wrong street, and it took about half an hour to find the park, and G was carrying the heavy ladder and getting really pissed off. So we finally find the park, and I just remembered feeling a bit uneasy. It was very, very dark, no lights in the park, or street lights were on, and it was really sort of still and quiet. So we were walking, I was leading the way, and not even that sure that I was going the right way. The park had a really unpleasant vibe at night. It was odd in the day, but something just felt really isolated at night. So we find the path and walk down, and sure enough, we reach the wall. We were ages away from the car. I assumed it was quick, but I'd been cycling the last time and not carrying a ladder and a camera. So once we reach the wall, G starts getting excited. A is nervous but pumped. So am I. S is uncomfortable. She goes, "I have a bad feeling about this," the minute we reach the wall. G climbed up and looked over, shined his torch and freaked out, saying those statues are creepy. He sits on the wall, and A goes up, then me, then S. We're all sitting on the wall looking down at this sea of weeds and statues. S looked at me and shook her head. "I don't want to do this," she said, and I said, "You can wait here." She was too scared to wait, so we pulled the ladder up and climbed down it. As soon as we set foot in this garden, I was just filled with dread. I think we all were. The statues were very creepy and human-like. Up close, their faces were just wrong looking. Like features were weird sizes, and they looked really unsettling. Like their arms were twisted weirdly. We were completely silent. G is filming, and I'm taking pictures. We reach the back door and it's unlocked. A goes, "That's weird," and we all nod. Once we step inside, we're in this huge empty room filled with objects, clearly statues, covered in sheets. G pulls a sheet off and we all scream. It's a Greek statue with a horrible human-like face painted on, grimacing. "Let's get out of here," A says. We all realize S is stopped in the doorway. "I have never felt such bad omens. We need to leave," she says. I walked over to her, but she was like, "No, this is creepy, but it's probably some local kids. Blah blah blah. It's a safe suburb. Also my film, etc." And says he's staying. I was too scared to walk back through the park without him, so we stayed. S is silently crying at this point. I felt like my heart was going to explode. So we keep walking through the house. I'm shaking too much to take pictures. We pass empty room after empty room, all filled with sheet-covered statues. We reach the bottom of a marble staircase. S is shaking, A is squeezing my hand so hard it hurts, and G even seems hesitant. But we all start walking up. Once we get to the top, it's clear something is very, very wrong with this house. There are no doors except one at the end of a hallway, but every room is filled with odd, wrong-looking furniture. Chairs painted red in a pile in one room, tables that are too high, painted odd colors. Something was really off. We open a cupboard in one room and scream at a horrific, life-size mural of some sort of bizarre person with inhumanly long teeth and hands. At this point, even G is freaking out. He was like, let's just check that last room and then get out. So we all walked slowly towards the door. Inside was a nursery, a black crib, old wooden toys. I can't recall what they were, but maybe puppets? And a strange painting of clowns, I think. Or maybe more akin to the mural of that person or thing on the walls. We didn't even step inside. G said, let's go right now. This place isn't safe, and we head downstairs. As soon as we get down, we all freeze, because some of the statues have been moved up against one wall. We drop our stuff and run to the door. G kicks it open, and we run through this horrible garden to the wall. I remember when I was nearly at the wall, S just screams, and we all turn to see a light is now on in the nursery room. We scale this wall, jumping down and leaving the ladder. I sprain my ankle but don't look back as we all run through the park. We got in the car and we're all crying and covered in scratches, and my ankle is swelling already. G gets to S's house to drop her off and just says we're never doing that again. And then nobody says anything. He dropped me off next. Then they left. I had to sneak in through the back door, so my parents didn't see me and freak out. S deleted all of us off Facebook that night, and I never saw her again. I had horrible nightmares for a month afterwards, and my ankle has never been the same. I didn't tell anybody about what, and neither did A. We're still best friends, but we never talk about it. Her and G broke up not long after the event. My name is Chills, and if you're curious to see what I look like without all this darkness, then follow me on Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT with underscores instead of spaces. And feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions or suggestions. And I'd just like to say thank you to Creativity for writing this story. The link to the original post is in the description. Chills. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because I upload a new scary video every Thursday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!